Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Flat Earth School, the school that is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. I'm Mitchell from Australia, just a student like the rest of you, always learning, always questioning in this beautiful Flat Earth School around us. Today I have another special guest. His name is ARWIJN. Many of you know him from the Flat Earth debate streams and the Ballbuster streams. I'll get his channel up here in the moment. He has been doing Flat Earth streams every single day for the past 3 years, I think it is. He can probably correct me when he comes on. I'll pull up his YouTube channel. It is in the description.
Every day, every
Every
day,
day.
every
Arwen,
day. I love that Australian chant, man. That's so. Whew.
how are you, mate? Arwen, good to have you on.
Yeah, doing great.
Has it been every single day for what, about 3 years?
Yeah, crazy enough, it has been. Except for the time. No, that's not true. Like I got a strike. When was it now? 2 months ago. But I was still went live every day on D Live instead until
So
the strike was over.
you've
Yeah,
still been on some sort of streaming platform for every day for almost over 3 years. Has it been more than 3 years?
I think it has been. Yeah,
That's
over three
crazy.
years.
Every single day, because
Yeah,
I'm kind of getting a bit of feedback there. Have you got your Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Um, yeah, because I'm doing this Monday to Friday, and I feel burnt out, man. I don't know how you do it every single day, and your streams go for so much longer. How do you do it? How do you keep up the stamina and keep up the conversation?
all right. Well, first off, I've had a lot of burnouts at the beginning, the first year. It's like, oh God, what do I talk about? I like vowed to go live. So I gotta go live, like no matter what, even if I feel kind of stupid, and just like go for it, no matter what. And hey, I have the luxury that I have a lot of different things to talk about. That's really the big resources. What do you know? What can you talk about? And there's so many different subjects that have a lot of people have interests and things they need to know, like for their personal health, or just even like, hey, how do you look at this recent new item in the news? Like, how do you reflect on that? And so, yeah, I've just learned over time to always find something to talk about. And now, even I have this specific setup where I'm doing it purely on the interaction with my chat. I usually don't even bring up subjects for the day or anything. It's just like, hey, okay, what did you see? What do you have any questions? Like anything. And then if I'm a little unlucky, it's like suddenly silent for 10 minutes.
Hey, what?
What did you? Oh, getting some feedback.
Sorry, man. I was just
But
bringing
yeah,
up your YouTube channel.
I can get frustrated sometimes in my chat because people are kind of sleepy, or they all decided to do their little chore of the day right when I was actually staring at chat for like, hey, anybody got a question? And then everybody's doing their chores. It happens more often than I would like, but it's all part of the job. But yeah, just keep going and realize that everybody's always doing something. So, what can you offer that would contribute to whatever they're doing?
Yeah, I've just put up your YouTube channel. It is on the stream now, hopefully for people to see. You go through a very wide range of different topics. It's not just flat Earth, but your stamina is unbelievable. I don't know how you keep doing this. So go to ARWIJN, Arwen, on YouTube. Subscribe to him today. He definitely deserves a lot more subscribers. Let's just look through 1,036 shows just on YouTube. So you said D Live as well, so you got a few on there. I'm just looking through the topics that you've been doing lately in Flat Earth Early Bird. That is your YouTube stream name, isn't it? Flat Earth Early Bird, the show that you're doing.
Yeah, Flat Earth Early Bird Show. That's the name of the show, and it's been going for a while. So, yeah, originally, I created it. This is kind of funny story from the beginning, right? I originally started the Flat Earth Early Bird Show because I got so frustrated on the Flat Earth debates, which I really liked when I joined it. But I got so frustrated because I never got time to basically speak my mind. I thought like, oh, this is the place there where I can finally share my ideas. But yeah, there's always a panel and there's always ruckus and people rumpusing. So I got frustrated and I was like, oh, screw this. I'm going to do my own show so I can like vent off my ideas and everything. So I'll have that not burdening me when I've eventually joined the Flat Earth debates. And that worked really well. And yeah, so that's kind of how that came into being, really.
Yeah, you got to have your own outlet, especially with a big channel like Flat Earth Debates. There's so many different personalities, so many people just wanting to jump in, just wanting to. Sometimes it's just taken up by a globe believer or any flat earther jumping in, and it's just back and forth between him and Nathan, just chewing up a subject. Like sometimes you wouldn't even get a word in. So yeah, it's great to have an outlet. You've been doing this for so long. I'm just looking at your channel, 1,036 shows on YouTube, as I just said. Just looking through the subjects, the metaphysical, let's split some photons, the great secret about. I didn't see the rest of that. Sorry. You talk a bit about religion, the gatekeepers, Axiom. What was that one? I can't see the rest of that one. Axiom. Where was that going? Axiom rotation or something? Was it?
Yeah, axiom rotation. Any evidence of axiom rotation? That was the whole
Axiom.
puzzle. That was the puzzle of the show. It's a word puzzle. So I like to tap into language and language skills a lot. Of course, concerning English mostly. And so sometimes, yeah, I get really into that. Axiom rotation is one of those. Because what's an axiom? It's a truth that you hold to be self-evident. Like, you know, this is true, right? So an axiom rotation would be like a perception angular shift in what you assume to be self-evident. So the awakening from, hey, maybe it's not a globe, maybe we're tricked, it might actually be flat, could be considered an axiom rotation.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting topic because you see new news articles come out every day. There's always a flat Earth in the mainstream. Whether it is becoming more mainstream, more acceptable, I'm not sure, but it is definitely getting in the mainstream more. Over the time that you've been in flat Earth, it has been a fair while. Have you seen any significant paradigm changes, as you would say, axiom changes, axiom rotations?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, I've seen that. When I started out originally in 2015, it was like really freshly breaking open in YouTube, and there was like this response like, "Oh no, what's happening? YouTube's going crazier than ever. Now flat earthers are out there." And as soon as you would bring it up back then, people would really get an outraged response like, "Oh my god, what flat earth really? You got to bring that up? That's crazy." Now, when you do it nowadays, and this has gone a very gradual, slow shift, but in the course of those 5 6 years now, I forget 6 years, people now like people. It doesn't shock anyone anymore. People have heard in some way of flat Earth, and they know like, oh yeah, it's out there. They might have an opinion about it, or they might not have an opinion about it, but it's not really that shocking anymore. It's even not like a thorn in the eye to people anymore. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, sure, flat Earth is over there. It's not like, oh my god, that contradicts everything. No, it's like, oh no, they're over there, right? So there is an axiom shift. People now have gotten used to like, okay, there's flat earthers. They're not going away. It's not just a joke, even though people call them a joke. They're there. They keep doing things, and yeah, we'll see what comes out of it. So in that sense, there's definitely an axiom rotation shift happening.
Yeah, I agree. When I first got into this subject, people were still saying, "Are there actual real flat earthers out there?" And I see some people still saying it now, but it has gone past the point where they're realizing this is not a joke. We are serious. We have some very, very devastating flat Earth proofs, some very devastating globe killers. being the black swan. Do you want to? We'll get into it just briefly. The black swan. How devastating do you think that is for the globe? Is it the number one globe killer? Would you say?
Well, the black swan is certainly the trigger that have sent the anti-flat earthers, but even like some of the globers, off into some serious double think dwellings. Like they're now because of the black swan, they have really started digging into double think more than ever before. And you can even see it that the kind of machinations that they try to improvisingly bring forth, that they've even planned out, they're becoming more sloppy. They're becoming more transparently machinations. You're starting to see it now because the black swan really like put them in a corner, and they can't maintain the same level of cohesion in their argumentation anymore because of it. So it's definitely
Yes.
changed things.
Especially with the horizon. The horizon is now a very, very triggering subject for globe believers or anti-flat earthers, whoever you want to be talking about this issue with. The anti-flat earthers are going to now tell us that we are not seeing the geometric horizon. We are not seeing that physical Earth curve that we were once told was out there. The horizon being something that is physically blocking ships from the bottom up, blocking our vision of things as we get further away. And we're now getting told that is optical. And that is a flat Earth argument. So we've now got globe believers giving us flat Earth arguments, and that's what the black swan has done to them.
Right. It has split them up into two different trains of thinking. So here's the trick. Geometrically, the horizon is still blocking things behind it, you see, in the math and in orthographic view. To them, it's still blocking things behind it. But because of the weird light effects that they've kind of made into terrestrial refraction, optically, it's not. So geometrically, it's still blocking it, but optically, it's not. And that's really the splitting up. You see, that's doublethink. Doublethink is you think one thing and you think the exact opposite, but you still think it's okay.
Yes, the cognitive dissonance is strong in these people who try to take apart the black swan. I'll just bring it up. The black swan image for people who haven't seen it, or it is a video from BMLSB69, and we regularly show this image, the number one globe killer. So as you can see, this is from a 1 foot observer height. We can see these oil platforms. I'll just go a bit further in the video. So these oil platforms, they're just demarcation points. And the anti-flat earthers, the globe believers, like to bring up the cranes in the image, the bendy cranes, but they are not. That's just a red herring. That is just something for them to distract away from what is actually in this image. It is the horizon in the distance beyond, above the bottom of those oil platforms. So platform habitat, 9.4 miles. And we're being nice to the globers here. We are saying that the horizon is maybe at 10 miles from a 1 foot observer height. And that is absolutely devastating if they think that they are on a physical sphere. So if you go through the geometry, which is the modus tollens in the black swan argument, every single distance to horizon on a sphere of a radius 3959 miles can be no more than 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So obviously from 1 foot, where this video is taken from, 1 foot observer height, the horizon, the physical Earth curve that blocks things from the bottom up cannot be more than 1.22 miles. But we're seeing 10 miles, that horizon in the distance past platform habitat, past 9.4 miles, we're going to see about 10 miles. So the logical consistency that this takes through looking at this image, putting it through modus tollens, we conclude that it is not a sphere of radius 3959 miles. And the globers think that's something that they want to hold on to. All you've done, at best, all you've done is disprove the radius of the Earth, we're told now. And that is absolutely devastating for the globe model. Not only do you now say that the horizon is refracted, you're now saying the radius value, that thing that you need in all instances to assert that you have a globe, is now being disproved. It is devastating. I don't think they still don't understand that you need the radius value for absolutely everything in the globe model. Do you agree, Owen?
Yes, of course. If you're dealing with a literal physical globe, then that globe has, by its geometry, consequences. And one of these things would be that it has a radius value, and they don't have it. They don't have it based on measurements they do optically. So they've conjured forth terrestrial refraction as a machination that mathematically incorporates the R value within its construction, right? In order to justify why they see things looking so flat. But yeah, they don't realize, or they don't want to realize probably, that if you assume that terrestrial refraction is real, then where did they get the R value within the calculation for it? Because you can't measure it anymore when you look at the horizon. You can't measure geometry when you look at the horizon if everything is bent away. So, how did you get the R value then? How was it established? And that's my personal paradox.
Yeah, I love the paradox. Do you just want to just put it into the perspective of it being a paradox? Just kind of ram that home for a second again.
All right. Well, it's so simple. It's a mathematical paradox, right? This is not some kind of a weird time-based paradox or anything. You know, most paradoxes that we know from science fiction are based in time situations where something like, you prevented your own father from concepting you, right? That's like one of the paradoxes we know, we're familiar with. We were confronted with it in Back to the Future, that is a possibility. But this is a mathematical paradox. That means that the math that is used to establish how terrestrial refraction bends things into looking like it's flat requires an exact knowledge of the radius of Earth. Because if you don't know it, then how did you size up how much the light requires to bend in order to make it look flat? So, yeah, and then on top of that, like that's one thing. But yeah, they had to know what the radius of Earth is. They had to know how big the sphere Earth is. And according to their own traditional stories, Alberuni measured it by looking at the horizon and then establishing the radius by measuring it. And if terrestrial refraction was real, if it is assumed to be real right now, then it should always have been real. And if that were the case, then how did Alberuni get the exact radius value? Because it's bent. He shouldn't have been able to get that radius value if it is all bending constantly because of the terrestrial refraction. So this is the paradox where they always land. If they assume terrestrial refraction is bending it to make it look flat, then they could have never measured the Earth's circumference, all of that, based on visuals in order to get the radius value that they need for the formula to establish that.
That's it. That's the paradox. It just keeps going. It's impossible. They cannot achieve what they need to achieve to use terrestrial refraction, 7/6 of an R value. You don't have the R value in the first instance to get. It is, yeah, as you describe, it is a paradox. It is hilarious to see them going round in circles. You can whip them around so fast. And now, after the black swan has just annihilated their assertion that the horizon is a physical Earth curve, that they have a radius, that looking at the horizon is now optical. It brings us to something that is another devastating point to the globe, but what I am calling the number one flat Earth proof, the use of the sextant. And so now, well, the first person I heard about talking about this was 10th Man on the Flat Earth debates, and kudos to him. He's done a lot of great research. I understand that the quantum racer kind of pushed him in that direction, but 10th Man has really delved deep into this topic. He understands this very, very well, like the functionality of using a sextant. It is just the fundamental principle of using a sextant is you need that flat baseline. So looking through the sextant out at the horizon, that has to be an absolute straight line. And now that becomes an impossibility after going through the black swan. For the globe believers, that now becomes an impossibility using that on a globe, because they say they have atmosphere, and they say that the light is being bent from the observer to the horizon. And so they cannot use a sextant on a globe with the belief that they're looking out to the horizon, and it's a bendy line. They don't have a flat, straight line to the horizon, which is required in all instances to measure an angle. Do we want to go into the sextant a bit?
Yeah, sure. It's not my specialty, but
That's cool. That's cool.
I've heard enough about it to have a couple of opinions about it. Actually, it was brought up today in the after show, which lasted very long. So watch that back on Sunday. But I've tried to defend the, yeah, here we go. A little bit of Baldwin, maybe. I do that too sometimes. But that maybe on if the Earth was actually a globe, that maybe the sextant still could be used. Here's the problem, though. It would never have been that exact an instrument because of the constant correction issues that you always have to do, because the horizon
mirror.
well, it's not so dead straight. You see, if it's flat, it's you only have to do basic correction for your height. That's it. It's very simple. It's very reliable. Like, even the conditions of the weather doesn't matter that much, like how far you can see or anything. It's always pretty reliable as long as you can see some stars or the sun. But on a globe, it would be much more complicated to use it. But you could probably still use it to some limit, but it would never be so super reliable. It would be a much more of a short distance instrument. So,
well, that's what they think they have. They think they have a short distance to the horizon, and using the sextant, having knowledge of how the sextant works. I've just got a little video up on screen. You look through the sextant at the horizon, and we've got a little Muppet Vision diagram drawn there. That's how the globers like to view everything in Muppet Vision. You're seeing the side of your own head. No, we're never seeing the side of our own head, especially when we're using a sextant. We look straight through it at the horizon. There has to be a straight line from the observer to the horizon. That is now not achievable on a globe where you think that there is a bendy line from yourself, from the observer to the horizon. It's now a bent line. And if we keep going through this little Muppet Vision image, that's not a bent line. That red dotted line, that is not bent, that is straight, and that signifies the zero value of the angle that you're about to measure. You need a flat straight line. You need a zero value, which is the horizon, and then you measure up to a celestial body. That's just how a sextant works. You need the flat baseline, which is now unachievable with atmosphere, bendy air. You can't get an angle to anything that is a line that is curved. And I'll say, even when if they want to assert that blue dotted line up to the celestial body, they also say that is refracted as well, that we're not actually seeing something like the sun. The sun is not actually there. It is 8 minutes behind where it's meant to be. Also, just looking at it, it's another bend line, if they believe that that's what refraction is doing, causing light to bend around a presupposed spherical Earth, a radius value of terrestrial refraction using the radius value of 7/6R, which we know has now been debunked. So it is just a cluster screw at this point of them trying to scramble to say how the sextant could work on a globe. So the basic premise is you need that flat baseline, that red dotted line, to use the sextant. And furthermore, not sure if I can bring up images on this, but you can see from, so where that blue dotted line ends, that just say that's the star that you're looking at, and 90 degrees from that red dotted line is where the star's GP is, the extremity of where we know how far we're looking at. So we're using these known points, the GPs of these known celestial bodies like the sun. We know where the GP point is of the sun at any given time from any given place on Earth. We know where the GP point is, and we know that using the sextant, we are looking straight out the horizon, which is a flat line straight out there. So we know that we are looking through the sextant out at thousands of miles of absolute flat Earth to get that right angle to that celestial body. And that's another thing that's not achievable on a globe. That not only do they think that the horizon is refracted, that bendy line, they also think that the physical Earth beneath their feet is also bent. You cannot achieve a right angle to a curved line to get that GP point. It just does not work. You could probably go through that as a paradox itself. I haven't really thought about it that in depth, but just on the fundamentals of using a sextant, the fact that you have to look through it out of the horizon to get that straight baseline, the fact that you need a 90-degree angle from that flat baseline up to the star, that's the GP point of the star. These are two things that are impossible on a globe, and it's got them in a real mess. It's hilarious watching them. There's not too many people that are coming out to dispute this yet. Dr. Bob, he's one of them. You would have heard Dr. Bob on the Flat Earth debate shows. He came in one time, and Nathan really ripped him a new one, asking him, where do you get that flat baseline? I'll just put the Muppet Vision back up. Where do you get that red dotted line? Where do you get that flat straight line to the horizon? And Bob admits, we don't have one on a globe looking at a horizon. We do not have that flat baseline. And that is where it all falls apart. They have to now say that, yeah, the horizon is refracted. We don't have the flat baseline. Therefore, sextants don't work. It is, and I'll just, did you want to comment on that, Armin? Being part of that conversation?
I agree with you. Bob inserted a horror value for that specifically, which was just somewhere in the middle of the sky. But yeah, as the sextant is currently very specifically designed, that could never work on a globe, right? My earlier comment was about like if the Earth were a globe, the sextant would have to be designed differently. It could still probably be made to work, although less accurate. But the way it is designed right now, which is very specific, that would never work on a globe ever.
Yeah, so that's the point. Yeah. How we know how we use a sextant, how it is utilized at the moment, how it is designed right now. It is not designed to have a flat baseline of a curved line, because fundamentally it is just making a triangle. We don't have a curved baseline to any triangle that we see. I'll try and pull up a image. I think you sent me this image. I'm trying to get it up. Not sure if I can. Do you just want to comment on the curved baseline that they have, not only from the observer to the horizon, but the curved surface that they think they have?
Not really, as neither do they really. You know, it's curved one moment, then it's flat, and it's there's nowhere to go for them.
Really. I'm sure if I can get that image. It's I'm still trying to use StreamYard. Like, it's good for video sharing, but it's not so good for image sharing. I'm not sure if I can get that up. That's all right. But yeah, you can picture that, how devastating this is, because they don't have that. Put it back in Muppet Vision. They don't have that curved baseline. It can't be curved if it's a 90-degree angle. And I might just get into. I made a video on this a couple of months ago. It was titled "The #1 Flat Earth Proof," and I believe it to be number one flat earth proof because not only because of those points that we just went through there to prove that it is definitely not working on a globe, it is a flat earth proof, meaning that it can physically measure the flat earth. I'm just trying to get this up here to screen share, going through an ad. And that's because we can physically measure the earth using the sextant as absolutely flat. That is just a premise that you need in the first instance. All right, so hopefully I've got that up now. There we go. All right, so I'll scroll to the part where, so using the sextant, that's what they think they're doing on a globe. Oh, I just wanted to play this little, have you seen this video, Arwin, of the number one flat earth proof from my channel? It's all right if you
I'm
haven't.
not sure, maybe.
I made the example here when just a premise to before we went into why it's the number one flat earth proof. This is just what we see here on Earth. So it is all due to perspective. Like everything that we look at is perspective. So if we've got a drone 90 degrees above our head, the drone is just in its own level plane. If I push the out stick, like the forward stick on the drone, I've got a little theodolite app on my phone. When the drone moves away from the observer, when you're looking at it at 90 degrees and it moves away, it appears to drop in altitude. And I'm assuming that's what the stars do. They're in their own flat celestial plane. As you move away from them or as they move away from you, they appear to drop in altitude, just what we measure. Because you can extrapolate out that using a sextant, you need to have a flat celestial plane, you need to have a flat Earth plane. They're just parallel to each other, and it is the angle that you're measuring is just your perspective. What do you think about that sort of concept? When having a flat celestial plane above our heads.
I think that's actually a reification to some degree. I
Yeah.
think that
Yep.
it's based on, well, the coordination of knowing when stars are exactly above, angular wise. But here's the thing, if you imagine, because of that, that is actually a flat plane and that things go down because they are going into the distance, well, then you're going to base your that perception on perspective, and perspective has certain consequences. So if stars assumed to be in a steady height above you moving into the distance, if you're seeing that, then the further they go into the distance, the less the angular drop is going to be because of that, because of perspective. Now here's the thing, none of the celestial lights actually do that.
Yep.
They move at an angular consistent rate. So if you think they are literally in a plane above you going into the distance, that would be a mistake, because perspective doesn't seem to apply, because the angular rate doesn't drop as the celestial bodies move near the horizon.
Absolutely. So that leads me to the conclusion that the stars are not physical things. Like this drone, I just made the example of the drone with the video here. The stars are not physical things. They don't follow the physical properties, as you just said, of perspective. Now, what the stars are, we have no clue, but we know how we can use them with celestial navigation. Saying the stars are a physical height above our heads, definitely that is a mistake, because that's where the globe believers like to try to pull us up on. They say that the stars, using this trigonometry with the sextant, using trigonometry, we know the distance from the observer to the GP, so we can calculate the height of that star above the flat Earth. And that's where they try to corner this argument. But the thing that they are not understanding is the stars are not physical things. They do not have a location. They do not have a distance. As far as anyone can tell, they are only apparent. They have an apparent altitude. They have an apparent location, an apparent size. And that's all you can assert by looking at the stars. Is that where you were going with that, Arwen?
Well, I wasn't necessarily going in any direction. I was basically just trying to correct the detail of
Yeah,
the assumption. But yeah, I don't know exactly what the celestial lights are.
no, I don't
I
think
just
anyone does.
right, and even like I try to step away from saying things like altitude because that already kind of implies Euclidean nature. So I just say, okay, we just see them at a certain angle in a specific relation to our position on Earth and the time frame. And that's it. And so the only thing we really have are the angles. The angles are consistent, very, very consistent. So consistent that they've been used even in ancient times as a map, as a time clock. Some people even now call it the sky clock
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that's it's that accurate. The angular relations are super accurate, very consistent over time, and even our calendar system is basically based on it because of its accuracy.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. When looking through, like we homeschool our children. We got three of our five children at a school age, and we homeschool them at the moment. So we've got the opportunity to kind of teach them more than the education system would teach them. And so we go into things like Aboriginal studies and looking into that. Um, my daughter likes to she's 6. She likes to make the point that the Aboriginals use the Indigenous people of Australia. They used and still use the stars as a calendar to know what food to eat in what time of the year. So we in Western society have like constellation of the stars, things that we it looks like they line up to a certain shape or a certain kind of points in the sky. The Aboriginals used a totally different kind of, if you want to call it, constellation system. So when there was something that they thought looked like an emu in a certain location in the sky, they knew that then that was the time of year to go and look for emu eggs to eat. And it's the same with all different types of food. They used and still do use the stars as a calendar system, as you just said, to know what time of the year it is for different foods, and also for being at different locations. Just the seasons they had and have, I think maybe 6 seasons in here in Australia. It is not just the traditional 4 seasons that the globe um, model likes to push on us. It is not just the traditional 4 seasons. There's a wet season, there's a dry season, there's all different sorts of seasons, and that can all be signified by the stars. And yeah, I agree. The stars are just a calendar for the time of the year, and they, as you said, they are very precise. They are very cyclical. They go in the same cycle, what we call year after year. It is not us going around a sun. It is just the stars in the sky and how we perceive those throughout the year. And
that's right.
on
We to this day, still in this time frame, with the modern technology, with the hypercomputing and all that, we still have to correct clocks that are based on mechanisms, while the sky clock is always exactly what it is. So just to go for precision.
yeah, just
It's that
another.
difficult.
Yeah, but just another aspect of our flat Earth school. It is the best teacher we could have. We are trying to do calculations. We're trying to do models based on reality, and because we're taking that out of reality, because we're trying to make our own calendar system, that needs to be adjusted every so often. Like we have leap years. We have the how many times has the just going into time, how many times has the date line been changed? The 0 point, I remember it was a couple of years ago. I think it was Fiji, who used to be last. I think it was in the kind of time zones. They then changed to first, and they lost an entire day because of the Gregorian calendar. That day just did not happen. They skipped a whole day to become a different time zone. It is all arbitrary. It is all just based on the location where you are on Earth. It is all, you just have to use the sky. The sky will not lead you astray. It is very set in its cycles. It doesn't change. like year between years and years. Obviously, it changes throughout the year. That's how you can use it. But yeah, we still do not have a calendar system that is as accurate as our beautiful flat Earth sky above us, our beautiful flat Earth school sky. That is our best teacher. That's one of the reasons why I made these streams. We have a flat Earth school around us. It is our best teacher. We just need to see it for what it is.
I agree. And over the ages, a lot has been done to derail this knowledge, specifically to derail the connection. So even the Gregorian calendar has 12 months. Well, just listen, like months. Like, what is that? Is that a
Mm.
moon?
Yeah, moons.
Well, why aren't all months 28 days? Right? Because that's how long it takes for a moon to go full uh, and empty and back full again, right? So that takes a month. That's an entire cycle. But yet the year is split up in 12 months. Well, if they split it up in 13 months, then suddenly everything would fit so perfectly. They would have less issues with the timescales. So here's the thing, they're keeping it like 12 months on purpose, even though it's more broken, to derail that knowledge, to kind of
Absolutely.
like get away from the weird 13 because it's not as symmetrical as 12, and it just connects you too much to the real thing, which is the sky clock. So they're keeping it away from us on purpose through design, through the mainstream designs that have been handed down to us on how to apply time and other things too, but this one really stands out to me. It's like, yeah, there should be 13 months in a year, but they make it
Absolutely.
into 12, and then you have the weird, oh, now it's 30 days, now it's 31 days, like, oh, it's also wrong.
It's all so convoluted. The waters have been so muddied that you don't even realize that there is a sky clock above you that works so much better. They try to bring you out of it. They try to say everything needs to be scheduled off this Gregorian calendar. You need to know what date it is. You need to know what time it is. Being homeschooled and kind of being self-unemployed, as Nathan would put it at the moment, we don't need time. We don't need dates. We just go off what we want to do. At the moment, we're growing our veggie patch. It's spring here in Australia. There's birds around. There's bees around. There's new life everywhere. It is the best time to grow things. We're just going out and planting things because that's just the time of the year that we do that. It's not always the exact same time every year on the Gregorian calendar. It changes. It's definitely not a hard line between winter and spring. This year was actually, well, people would say unseasonably warm very early, and we had some really warm days. And compare that to the other years where we have longer winters, where we have snow really, not here, but in the Platts that does snow, we have snow that is really late in the season, and there are not, by the globe model, by the Gregorian calendar, we have a hard date line where we go from winter to spring. But that is, when we look around us in our reality, that is further from the truth. It's so far from the truth. Then you just have to go off your reality, your world around us, your physical world, and get out of that imagination land. And I'm going to have my wife on for my special guest next week, and she is really into just getting in tune with your body, getting in tune with the world around you. And she talks about things to do with pregnancy, with free birth, with home birth, just getting everything out of the system. And she's created a book, and in one of the pages of her book, she talks about the gestational period of birth, which is 10 moons. And the Gregorian calendar takes us out, away from our bodies, from our reality, from our earth around us, and puts it into a time system where you only have a certain period of time that you're allowed to have that baby in your body. This is how far the Gregorian system has gone. You have a date. If the baby has been in a woman's body for too long, they say you need to be induced. There is a danger to you. But it is anything but so far from the truth, as my wife will explain next week. Your body goes off the world around you. It goes off your each individual just gestational period. It's usually around 10 months, 10 moons. So it is 10 moon cycles. And just another aspect of the Gregorian calendar, the globe model, if you will, the imagination land, bringing us away from reality and putting us into an imagination land that absolutely just, it screws up our senses, it screws up our body, it screws up just how we're naturally meant to be.
I agree. Yeah, I was actually very late born myself. My mother told me, like, and yeah, they do get pushy about it sometimes. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
you got to be careful. But my mother's like, no, just like because I was not like pushing. I was really like, no, I'll just sit here. I'm just like assimilating everything. And when I got out, I immediately opened my eyes. So it's like, yeah, it's not bad to be very long in there as long as you're comfortable, right? Because there could be many different complications. You could get too cramped, for example. There's not enough stretch, and then yeah, you got to get born, right? But if that's not an issue, then basically the longer you stay in there, the more nourishment, the more pure nourishment you can get, and also just not a lot of peace to mind, right? Because you're not doing anything in there, you're just dreaming if you stay in there. And so you can grow optimally without having the stress of being suddenly having to deal with the world. So there's many different advantages of just like, no, don't, just leave him. Just leave him in there for as long as they want to. If they want to get out, they'll give you the sign that they want to get out, and that way it's just best.
yeah, what we're going to talk about with my wife next week. Intervention leads to more intervention, and when the medical system makes them so they are self-important, they try to make us so reliant on them that we do not have the knowledge, we're not giving the resources, the tools to do these things ourselves anymore. My wife is going to go through that. She's a massive advocate of just being natural, home birthing, free birthing out of the medical system, because yeah, as I said, intervention leads to more intervention. The baby actually tells the mother's body when it is ready to be out, and when doctors put a time limit on it, so uh, they screw up the whole system. They screw up the whole cycle of life. Basically, they can absolutely ruin a person's life from the beginning, because that is not when they're meant to be coming out, when they're meant to be entering this world. And just going back to the whole time and date sort of thing, the astrology side of things, it's for me anyway, it is such a arbitrary thing. Like, some people can say that because you were born on this time, on this date, you have these certain attributes. As it is with the current medical system, they can literally choose the time and the date that you are brought into this world. So by saying that, yeah, when the time and the date that you're born, that you have these certain attributes to your life, um, you can't really, if that was true in the natural sense of whenever you chose to come out, that is no longer the case anymore. There, even with daylight savings, like, we realized that 3 of our children were born after daylight savings has started, so they're now an extra hour ahead of what the natural time of where we are. It's all arbitrary, as you can see. Like, do you have any views on the sort of astrological? Yeah, no, not astronomy. What's the other one?
Astrology,
As,
right?
yeah, astrology is.
Astrological.
I
Yeah,
was thinking
they're well.
astronomy, astrology. Yeah,
Well, look, that's very complicated. Astrology is basically anchored in when you're supposed to be arriving. So yeah, if somebody gets like basically sort of prematurely made to be born, then are they actually are they made for that moment to be born, right? They
Exactly.
could be, yeah, it's all a matter of how much you weigh exactly on the astrology, right? Because you can get really precise in that. But yeah, if somebody's basically born off where they were supposed to naturally be born, when they were supposed to be naturally giving their own signal, like now I'm supposed to come out, yeah, then maybe astrological readings could be off because of that. I'm no expert, but just logically deducing things, yeah, that could be an influence.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything becomes arbitrary. Everything doesn't have a meaning when you are. Uh, so a woman goes into hospital and says like, I feel like I should have had my baby by now, and the doctor says, how long have you been pregnant? They got all the charts. They say, oh, it's 41 weeks. Oh no, that's now an emergency. We have to get that baby out. We have to induce you, and that puts the mother and the baby into such an unnatural position, because as soon as you start inducing a birth, that baby doesn't want to come out, and then the doctor says that the mother's body gives up on them, that the mother's body can't get that baby out, but it's the fact that the baby's not ready to come out. And as we'll talk about next week with my wife, is such a high rate of cesareans these days. It is alarming, the rate of cesareans. And the reason for the doctors give to these poor women that have had cesareans is that their body has given up on them. Your body does not give up on you. It is the medical system giving up on you. And they put a
Yeah, that's
time, they put a date.
ridiculous. Like if the body really gives up, if like there's something wrong, well, guess who's gonna know that first thing? It's gonna be the mother. They know like there's something wrong. There's something. They will like start yelling it to everybody if because they know that like if there's something wrong, they're gonna feel it. It's really ridiculous that a doctor would just start to indoctrinate them like, oh, your body's given up. Like that's just bad. It's
Mm,
just bad, terrible medical practice, in my opinion.
yeah. And it
Even
is
though I'm
things like
not a
that.
doctor, by the way, but
I'm not a doctor either, but I assisted my wife in birthing at home, and we had absolutely the best. We home birthed two of our five children at home, and those two births were just the most magical things. We didn't have any medical professions at our place. It was just myself, my wife, and our kids. They all helped. There was no medical emergency. That's what they put birth being, a medical emergency. You need medical help. You need to have assistance. It's another one of those things that's anywhere from the truth. Look how far we've come away from. We're just talking about the stars, just talking about the Gregorian calendar, and it's got into, yeah, just how everyone has got here on our flat Earth. Everyone was born from a mother, whether it have been induced, whether it been cesarean. Everyone has come from a mother. That is just a fact of life. And it is, when you actually look into the medical system and the way that people are being born, and the way that mothers are forced to think that, yeah, their bodies are giving up on them at the moment, it is disgusting. It puts such a great distrust in our medical system, and you need to not trust the medical system. You need to have your own pure organic thoughts, because at the moment, the current climate, just getting away from birth and that sort of thing, but keeping on the medical system, at the moment, it is such a a deceptive tool at the moment, using a medical emergency. What is going on in the world at the moment? Not sure how bad it is over where you guys are, but I'm basically not allowed to go to a workplace at the moment because I have not had a medication. But let's call it a medication. It really, we know what we're talking about here. I'm not going to
that's a
say it
really
exactly.
nice word for something that has absolutely no medicinal properties whatsoever.
No, no, it's something that has never been tested, that has never been uh, put through the trials that every other one of these, let's call it pointy sticks, that they say
Well,
has been put through.
to be fair, that's not entirely true. It has been tested. I've heard of these line of tests where they actually applied it to a bunch of ferrets and 100% of the test subjects died. So it has been tested. 100% death.
Well, I'll say it is now being tested on the population as a whole. It is an experiment that everyone is the ferret right now. So if you're getting that thing that they're telling you to get, if that wherever you are, if you're medical, if whatever you want to call it, if you're being told that you need that medication right now, you are being experimented on, and there's absolutely a set of international laws. The Nuremberg Code came out of the end of World War II after the Nazis were found to be guilty of experimenting on humans on a mass scale, and the Nuremberg Code came out of that made it absolutely illegal internationally, an international code that made it illegal for anyone to experiment on humans, and that's exactly what is going on right now.
Right.
We are being
Well,
experimented on.
to be more precise, forced experimentation, right? Because voluntary experimentation, even medical, is technically allowed under very strict conditions officially. But yeah, as soon as you say, like, no, you don't get a choice, you got to do this because of some designation on a list or whatever, like, no, you got to do this. That's forced experimentation, and that is very harshly prohibited. uh, yeah, worth of well, fatal punishment.
Yeah,
Like the
I'll
very,
say
that's like, it's not an like, oh, it's on there. No, it's like fatal punishment. This is like pretty much the most harshly punished violation that we know of right now.
absolutely.
It's one of
I
the
refer to it as
harshest punishable things in history that we know of currently, and it's happening right now. It's like on the edge. They're trying to push it to make it happen. They know how dangerous it is, but they're trying to basically gaslight everybody into believing they got to give in to it. So they feel like it's forced, but they're just agreeing to it based on their fear. That's what they're really going for. And it's not really working out as well as they had hoped for, even though there's still a large percentage of people just still moving along with it, just going along. There is a significant amount of people are absolutely, they know what this is. They're very quickly to study up, like the information is going around like a wildfire. Like everybody now knows the details of this just from sheer exposure of people alarming about this on the internet. Even though whether their videos are being taken down or not, it doesn't matter. It's spreading around like wildfire. People, significant amount of people know what this is. They know it's highly illegal, and there will be people, yeah, going to the chopping block, going for the gallows for this in the end. It's inevitable. It has to happen. It's only a matter of time of how much time, and how many people will be the victim of it in the meantime.
yeah,
So
yeah. When's it going to get to the point where people have had enough? I don't know. With us conspiracy theorists, we knew it was all about these pointy sticks from the beginning. Like I said it, I used to have a podcast with Paul on the Plane. I think we ended that at the end of last year. There was no talk of these pointy sticks being put onto anyone, and I said publicly, it's going to be all about that medication, that medication, what they're going to call it, medication, is all going to be about that. The writing was on the wall. We were called crazy conspiracy theorists, and now look around you. Here in Australia, I cannot go to a work site without having that thing in me, with not having proof that I have had 2 of those things in me at the moment. And it's not just 2. In another 6 months, you need to have a booster. I think in Israel, they're up to 4 now. So in Israel, you need to have had 4 of them to go and do these things. At the moment, I think Monday, they're calling it Freedom Day here in Australia, where they're locking people out now instead of locking people down, which we are in a lockdown at the moment. We're told we're not allowed to go places. Obviously, I've been doing these streams, these Flat Earth School streams at wherever I've felt like, with no problem. People, you can get out, you can go and do what you want. You're just putting these restrictions on yourself if you're not. But at the moment, we're getting told it's going to be a Freedom Day from Monday. So everyone who has had 2 of these pointy sticks in them, they can go and do what they want. And all these people who have had it are now saying to the people like me who haven't had it, who are not going to have it, they're trying to laugh at us, saying, "Look at us! Look how stupid you are! You can't leave your house now. You've been locked down for another month," because the people who haven't had it from Monday, you can't do anything until the 1st of December or whatever it is. And they're trying to say that, look at all their, I'll call it, okay, anti-vaxxers, look at it, all the anti-vaxxers not having their vaccine, they can't do anything. And what they don't realize is we've been doing everything we've wanted for the past, 3 months now. We've been going out, living free, doing what we want, just going under the radar, just doing what we want. And these people now, that they think that because they've had 2 of these things in them, they are now free to go to do a mental restriction on yourselves. That's all you are doing.
I
That's
don't
all it is.
understand why they do it anyway. Like, what are you gonna do with that? You know, you're gonna like, oh, let's get back to this society that is like obviously crumbling around you. Like, oh, these things that are so grand. It's like, oh, the freedom, modern society. Yeah, but it's crumbling. It's literally crumbling everywhere. Like, look at how many businesses have just gone. They're gone, and supply issues, like certainly certain products don't come through anymore, it just delays. And it's like, it might be kind of like not that overwhelming, it's just sporadic, but it's still there. So yeah, enjoy a very short time of freedom in a crumbling society, and we'll see you in 5 years if you're still there, you know. It's
Yeah.
a ridiculous trade-off. I don't understand. Like, it's better to just step out and start doing manual business. Just do on your own. Get to know people. Just trade. You know, who even needs cash? If you produce things, if you know how to build things, if you have services you can provide, just trade. You know, who needs government? It's legal. It's legal to do that. You don't have to even use money or anything. You can just trade. You can perform services. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
that's the
that,
solution.
that's the 2 options that we should see that we have. For people like me, I saw the writing on the wall with the masks mandate here in Australia. I was forced out of work about 2 months ago because I wasn't putting a nappy on my face, something that they say is not going to stop the spread of anything. That's not going to stop the contraction of anything. But you need to wear that in order to work, and that's where it started. I saw the writing on the wall. I said, no, I'm not going to be doing that. I even got an exemption. It still was not good enough. Even in I'll call it laws, there's no laws to back this up. I know people who have fought these infringements for not wearing the mask, and they win. They just need to turn up in court and state your case, and the judge know there's no legal backing. So I encourage everyone not to just go and pay the fine, not to go and be scared. Actually stand up for your rights, because you do still have legal rights. You can still stand up in court, and your fine will be thrown out. It has no legal backing. But I saw the writing on the wall 2 months ago. I said no, because this is where it was going to be leading. First, they start off with make you put that thing on your face, and then they're going to give you the ultimatum that if you don't have that medication into your body, you won't be allowed on site. And that is exactly the situation that we found ourselves in. For the people that are standing up, like me, that are refusing to partake in everyday society, refusing to put our money into the big businesses that we once usually did, that the big businesses are now saying you need to have this medication in order to come into our shop. That is on them. They are going to, even the big businesses, they are going to start losing their revenue, because they are discriminating, they are segregating the population. The people who don't want to have these things injected into them are going to not be spending any money at these businesses. It is causing a massive segregation, and everyone needs to make their own choice, their own decision. And there are other options at the moment. Where we are, we've just found a good organic food retailer that was once wholesale, but now they've turned to the public, because they can see that there is a business for people who don't want to go to the big supermarkets, who don't want to spend their money at a place where they tell you you need to have you need to prove that you've been medicated in order to get in here. And people like me go and screw that. I'm not spending my money there. I'm not bothering with you people. I'm going to go to directly to the source where they grow these foods. And that's what we're doing at the moment. We're just making sure that each and every one of our dollars that we have, which isn't many at the moment, are going to people who are supporting and standing up for the general population, because that is the decision that everyone has to make, whether you want to just go along with it, bow down, bend over to what's going on, or just remove yourself as far as you can from this, what I call it's genocide. You are supporting genocide if you are supporting what is going on at the moment. It's plain and simple. I'm going to be blunt about it. It is genocide. People are dying from these things, and if you want to support that, go right ahead. But
Right.
if not, there are other options.
Right. Well, in classical terms, what they're doing basically is a hostile takeover because it's corporations doing it. They're doing a hostile takeover, except they're taking over the world. They're literally just trying to conquer populations, and they're getting the green lights from governments that have basically gone in cahoots with them, that are conspiracy, actual provable conspiracy to plan illegal things, right? To violate constitutions. That's a conspiracy. That's not a theory. That's facts. And that's happening. That's happened. But it is like a hostile takeover, what they're performing. They're doing like what they would normally do with a competitor. They just get in there, they blackmail, they get people, buy them out, then it doesn't function anymore. And then, yeah, they just sweep it on the side. They take over the grounds. They just take it over. That's what it's very harsh, very brutal, in a way evil. It has no compassion, no morality to it. It's a hostile takeover. And that's basically what's happened. It's a corporate hostile takeover of the world, of the population, of nation states. They're using the nation. So it's not even like fascism. Fascism is like corporations working for the government, right? Well, in this case, it's the opposite. It's actually the governments working for the corporations. That's really what's happening. I don't even know how to designate it in that sense. It's a corporatocracy. Yeah, that's what you should call it. It's a corporatocracy, but it has its own unique thing to it, like what's happening. And it's very much like fascism, but it's not exactly like fascism, because in fascism, it's the government that's still at the top of it, that still really is in control, and that makes the corporations go in directions.
Well, that's how it's meant to be set up. The government is meant to be there to protect the people, to govern these corporations, the legal standpoints of these corporations. At the moment, as you said, the corporations are controlling the government. The government is doing the bidding of these corporations that are giving us these things that are literally killing you. These things are killing people at an alarming rate. It is genocide. And if you are supporting that, you're supporting genocide. That's as blunt as I can be about it. There are a lot of the media is not reporting on how many people are actually opposing this. In the media, it looks like everyone is complying. We've got percentage rates here. We're told that once we get to a certain percentage rate, that's why this Freedom Day has come about. We were meant to get here in New South Wales, in our state, 80% vaccinated. Once we reach that, it was meant to be everyone's free to do what they want to do. It seems like there's a majority of people doing this, complying, and for the most part of it, yeah, a lot of people are complying, but there is a large number of people who are not. We just had a census conducted this year, and there's a lot of people that did not do the census. It is not compulsory, despite what we are told. You will not get a fine for not doing the census, the thing that counts how many people there are and collects all of your personal information. Because yeah, another aspect to this is to get people to willingly and freely give up their personal information, their personal everything that the census is such an in-depth probe into people's lives. And due to the fact that, yeah, I know a lot of people did not do the census, that those percentages of the people being vaccinated, that is highly skewed. So it is not, the census is definitely not a true representation of the population at the moment, and the percentages of the people that they say are vaccinated, whether that be just a made up number or whatever, but yeah, at the baseline, there's a lot more people than you are seeing on the television, through the media, that are against this. And we may be a minority, but we are still a large minority. There's still a lot of people out there who are opposing this, who are standing up, who are going to the rallies, who are taking themselves out of this society that we've found ourselves in, who are just feeding the corporations. I'm just going to mention that flat fellow who gives me 2 super stickers. Thank you for that, flat fellow. Really appreciate it. Smash the super chat, guys. I really appreciate it. Armand, we've been going for over an hour now. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there any other? Did you want to finish this? The thoughts on this?
I had a thought, but then kind of slipped.
Sorry, I was rambling a bit.
No, it's good. It's good to talk about this sometimes. I don't really get to go in like a one-on-one on these type of subjects that much. Usually it's just flat Earth. But
yeah, well, everything that happens on Flat Earth School, I'm the school around us. I'm up for talking about everything that happens in our reality.
Right, it's important, because like intellectual development, that only works if you have the freedom to do that. And they're encroaching on that. One thing I would like to address is the mechanism that they kind of use, that they have been using in order to get this through, because they never told us like it's all gone, like it's all going to be gone, it's going to be complete lockdown, and you're going to be met with police forces. No, they started very little, just saying like, oh no, just with just basic measures and masks, social distancing, and right. So it's incrementalism. They take lockstep mechanisms, step by step, and every step they suggest, if some people go along, they check, okay, how many are willing to go? And then if a certain threshold has been met, then they go for the next step immediately. They don't wait. Immediately the next step. Immediately they roll it out. It's like, okay, here's the next one. Are you okay with that? And then people respond to that. More might be getting like, okay, this is starting to feel a little wrong, but they'll still be hesitant. And a lot of people are like, yeah, go for it. And then immediately the next step. And then it just keeps getting worse. It keeps growing worse and worse, more irrational even. There's not even like a direct provable logic to it. It's like, oh, this happened. We've just proven that you need to do this. No, they just say, no, you just got to do this. Just trust us. It's the science. Here's some stupid statistics, whatever. Just, you got to do this. And it seems to be working so far. It's worked for a very long time, but it's starting to meet a crescendo where now there's just a clear-cut split in the factions between those that are just not complying anymore. They get it, like no, not little, even a little compliance is just not going to help anything. And there's those that have basically gone in so far that they don't know how to stop. It's like their side now. They have to keep going, or they'll be afraid it'll be all for nothing and they'll drop out with absolutely nothing, right? That's a terrible prospect, that you've gone so far, taken all that fact shit, have nagged people about it, pushed around, maybe even spied on people and reported them to the police, that kind of crap, and then you're going to step out. Really? That's probably going to make you off yourself or something, because what are you going to do? Everybody's going to hate you. You got physical problems because of the V's and all that. So yeah, those people are going to stick to it because they have nowhere else to go psychologically. They're trapped in their paradigm, in their choices, and they can't go back. So it's split up in these factions. And now it's going to be kind of a standoff, and it's already kind of happening. There's just, the police are just getting in people's way, and at the same time, like real proud Australians are just like, yeah, screw that. We don't care. We're just going to run straight through you and all that. At times, when that is organized, when they feel like it is not, I don't know, is it actually every day, like that chant says?
it is the things that you're seeing in the media, obviously overseas, is definitely the most extreme things of the very small cases of happening here in Australia. Most of the protests are very peaceful. Most of the protests are just people either sitting or standing, holding signs, playing music, just chanting, not interacting with the police, not being beaten up by the police. The police, there is a big stigma about police brutality here in Australia. I think the majority of police, they are decent people. They realise that they are the same as us. They are affected the same as us. Their families, their wives, their children, they are all in the same boat. And they there's a lot of instances where the police turn up to these rallies and they support the protesters. That's what you're definitely not being shown that on the international media.
No, you're
But
right. We're not. We're not. Like I watch, like for example, Infowars. I still like it. I know they kind of color things, but yeah, I don't get to see any of that. We get. I get to see the most extreme cases. It's like, oh, look at this! Ah,
yeah,
panic! Come on!
yeah,
And
look
yeah,
how bad
there's
it is.
like some real hardcore stuff coming out of Australia, though. You know, it is kind of like peaking in comparison to some other places in the world. Like there's some rough shit going down sometimes from Australia, what I get to see,
Oh yeah,
but not always. So it's
no,
really just special
no.
cases. All
Again,
right.
is that fear factor that if it looks like on TV, if you go out and support these rallies, you're going to get beaten up, you're going to get pepper sprayed. They're using rubber bullets now. That is in a very small instance of these rallies. Yeah, they're in Victoria, in Melbourne. They have the largest support in these rallies. They have been going out daily, just in because it is mostly the working class people who are affected by this, and they had a 2 week um, ban on everything construction, which is the majority of the workers going out into workplace. So the workers had nothing better to do than just be on the streets, just occupy the streets in a peaceful protest, just saying that this is wrong. They're not supporting the government. They're not supporting the medication that is being forced on them. And in the like, if you actually look at the personal videos coming out of people, it is peaceful. It is positive. It is not rioting in the streets, burning things, smashing things. Yeah, there are definitely instances when the police have blocked off people to stop them from going any further, but and the people run through them. That is the I suppose in every situation there are extremists. There are people who are a bit pig-headed who just go out there to cause kind of chaos, and they are the people that they're smashing through the police, that are taking down the police, that are fighting back. But in most cases, it is people just standing up for their rights in a peaceful protest. They're not getting hassled. They're not hassling the police not hassling them. It is in the when the cameras turn on, that is when everything sparks up. Behind the cameras, it's all fine. It's just that when and it's getting to the point where it becomes very obvious who are the real police and who are the police, the people who are just there in the black camo gear, totally covered up, who have the big guns, the pepper spray. Those are people who we are really questioning at the moment. Are they actual police? You would not have a clue. Someone from the public could just dress up with a balaclava, with a bit of a bulletproof vest on in all black, and they could be going out as a group and beating people up. You do not know who those people are. They are definitely definitely not the regular run-of-the-mill police that you would usually see on the street. That is,
Right. They're outside forces, but this happens a lot, by the way, especially in riot situations. It's not like the typical cops you consider, like traffic cops and all that. No, they hire special guys for that. Usually they are related or friends or whatever, or lodge buddies of police forces, right? That happens a lot, actually. A lot goes through lodges, seriously, through Freemasonry. And it's not necessarily nefarious, but they do that like that. So a lot of times, like the riot cops are different types of individuals, and they're not really all that sociable often. They're
yeah,
just
they've
like
got it.
really, really militant and like
Yes,
proud
they love what
of
they
their
do.
function, and they don't take shit. They
Yeah,
can be
they
pretty
love what they
rough.
do. They
Right.
they are literally just sent there to the way that we see it, the way that the things have gone down, they are the ones inciting the violence. They want it to spark up because that's the situation, in the chaos situation, where they can just go and get away with things. They can gang up on people. They can beat people up, shoot them with the bullets, spray them with the spray. Those riot police, whether they be police or not, the people in the black camo gear that are there just to are they protecting anything? Are they protecting anybody? No, they're just there
They're
to
there to dominate.
create chaos. Yeah, to
They're
dominate, to
there
create
to
chaos.
break the spirit of the counter domination of the people. Like, no, we want to be free, and you really see it even in street situations when they face off. It is all about dominance, and that's what they do, right? That's what they're trying to counter. When the spirit flares up in the protesters, they get really harsh and they take positions and they just get like push people away all of a sudden, right? They take stances. It's really a system to really dominate the protesters. That's what
Yeah,
they use, and it works. It
absolutely.
does work actually, but it
Well,
can get out of control.
yeah, it does get. They rely on it to get out of control. They want it to get out of control. It is just another example of the media absolutely lying to you. There's been signs and posters that I really enjoy seeing around our local area saying that media is the virus. It's just like, bring it back to the globe. You would not know that there is a big bad boogeyman on the loose killing people unless you are told by the media. It's just like the globe. You would never come to the conclusion that you are living on the globe unless you were told by people, unless you were told in schools, by the media, by people of authority. You would never know that you were living on the globe. You would never know that there is a big bad boogeyman killing people going around on the streets at the moment. It is both media manipulation, it is mind control, it stems from not having those critical thought processes, not having organic thought, just parroting. I call it people are clones. Sorry.
Well, it's not allowing you to find relief, not giving you a moment to just calm down, right? You got to be cornered, you got to be in fear, or you got to be angry or something, right? Keep you busy, keep you agitated. Don't let you just calm down. Don't remind you, hey, maybe, you know, it's actually kind of a sunny day. Maybe I should just step out for like 5 minutes and just look at the sky and just look at the plants, listen to the birds, and smell the fresh air and just calm down, right? They don't want that. They want you to just, no, look at the mobile screen. Oh, look, oh no, oh, look at this. Oh, outrageous. Oh, look at this. Oh no. That's what they want you to keep you in that agitation cycle so you don't calm down, so your body doesn't calm down. Because if you're not calm, if you're not rested, if you don't have enough oxygen in you through calm breathing, then you're going to make less good judgment calls. And that's what they want, because they want to trap you. They want to politically, that's really on the high end, they want everybody in that state so they can top down through the political part of the conspiracy more easily maneuver things, right? So just staying calm, staying healthy, don't get stressed out by what they're trying to do, what the media is trying to do, is really good, solid defense on the long run. Because that way, if you just like, oh no, I gotta rally people up, I gotta make them more agitated, gotta rile them up or something, well, then you're actually gonna play into what the political system is trying to do. You're gonna make it more easy. You're not gonna have that control. You're gonna make it more easy for them to maneuver you deeper into this control system that they're building right now. So just take care of yourself, stay calm, don't get too distracted by it all, and we might all pull through.
Yeah,
Most of
absolutely.
us.
And when I say flat Earth school, that is just our natural world around us. I couldn't agree with you more, Aaron. Everyone needs to just get back in touch with reality. Look outside at our beautiful world around us. Let that be your teacher. Don't let those devices that we're all stuck to, that yeah, everyone's watching a device now, watching this show, but after this, go out, get into the beautiful flat Earth school around us. It is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. Like just our beautiful flat Earth school. It presents itself as flat, enclosed, stationary. It doesn't present itself as chaotic. There is a lot of kind of, as we talk about the cycles in the stars, the cycles of the seasons, everything is peaceful, it is beautiful, it is natural. Get away from what they want you to be viewing. Get away from the media. We made a New Year's resolution to avoid all forms of news, all forms of mainstream media at all costs. And if you do that, you would have such a nice, peaceful life. Get back into touch with nature. Go out, see some waterfalls, go to the beach, see some wildlife, just get out into nature. That's what I'm trying to push here. And yeah, that is my message to everyone. That's pretty much Arwen's message to everyone. Don't play into the drama, because yeah, it is human nature to go looking for drama. We love drama. Pull away from it. Get back into your natural senses, the natural world around us, and we'll be fine. We'll get through this. We are the many. We just need to pull together. And if everyone stood up and was doing the same thing, everyone stick together, we wouldn't be in this situation. And there has to be a line that everyone gets to where you can't cross it. And so, obviously that's up to each individual how far everyone's going to allow this to happen before we just go, enough is enough. For me and my family, enough was enough when they said there was something on the loose and we have to change our everyday behavior. That was the line. And people just have to see the situation for what it is. But Arwen, unless there's anything else, I'm going to start rounding out the live stream. Thank you for being my guest.
Yeah, I agree. No, I just wanted to say it's very important to size up for yourself. Like, how much can you handle? You know, as you said, people do go look out for drama. They want to get a little excited, but just know when something pulls you in too much, and then when you notice you get caught up, pull out before you get too carried away, and it like ruins your day. Because this happens to people. They bump into something, they lose themselves in it, and suddenly they're totally off guard. They're like off guard for hours sometimes, or the entire day, and they get into fights with people they normally can deal with perfectly. So that happens because you get too carried away with certain things. It's very important to take notice of that. Like, ooh, this is like really painful. Maybe I shouldn't get into this right now, and just sweep it aside. Like, no, not now, right? It's very important to be able to do that, or you might lose control of your life because of that. Right. So, hey, thanks for all your efforts. It's a great show. I'm really happy to be part of your show. Really proud of it. And you're doing a great job. It's a real joy to watch your shows. And yeah, keep up the good work.
I appreciate it, Arwen. Thank you for being my guest. I'll put Arwen's channel link into the chat right now. Please subscribe to Arwen. He does this daily. He does this for multiple hours a day, just talking truths like this, just talking about our world, just the situations that we're in. I really appreciate your time here, Arwen. You're doing a great job. Subscribe to Arwen, ARWIJN on YouTube. Just spamming the link there in the chat. You need more subscribers, you need more support. Obviously everyone needs support, but you are doing great things too, mate. I really appreciate your streams. I appreciate the information. It's sometimes a breath of fresh air, that perspective. You have a very unique perspective on the way that you see everything, and a lot of people really appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Arwen.
Thanks for having me, Mitchell. Support Mitchell, everyone. He is ace.
Thanks, mate. All right, so I'm going to round out the stream now. Thank you, Arwen, for being my special guest on this beautiful Flat Earth School. If you feel like the world turns on you, turn to Flat Earth School. It is around us 24/7 since the beginning of existence. I've been Mitchell from Australia. He's been Arwen. Thank you for being here. Goodbye, everyone.